You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit, and in fall of 2013, we have a band with a physical release out on vinyl and CD, riding a wave of momentum with press releases, interviews that mention an upcoming full-length release. So they're coming off an EP release party in their hometown. It debuted a bunch of new material, and the band is riding high, but there's some controversy and a major change to the band that is about to happen. So this is Night Demon, The Early Years. So last episode, we heard the Night Demon show from September 14th of 2013. And it was Night Demon's hometown EP release show. So they had done a release show in Los Angeles, but they decided to do one at the Bombay in Ventura, California for their hometown fans. And as the closing track, Night Demon, ends, you're also hearing John Crerar's last show as the drummer for Night Demon.
So this early on in our fledgling career, Night Demon is already on to our third, and I'd like to say final drummer. I'm glad that we took care of this, early on. Dusty's been with the band since the fall of 2013 and has done really all the touring with the band. So, in my mind, he's an OG in a lot of ways, that Armand is too. But let me explain. So I think a lot of accountability here for John Crerar not being in the band anymore falls directly on the shoulders of myself and Brent Woodward, the founding members of Night Demon. as we've spoken about before on this podcast, John Crerar was the catalyst. He was the reason that Night Demon became a real band. You know, we didn't have any expectations, and once Pat Bailey decided to go to college and not be in the band, I mean, Brent and I really solidified that all we wanted to do was make an EP. We played a gig with Pat, and that was good enough for us. And, you know, again, we just really didn't think that anybody was going to give a shit about a band like this and the heavy metal that we were trying to play in the 2010s, right? So, you know, like John, God bless him, he really believed in this band, and without his persistence, I don't know if we would be here today talking about it. You know, when he wanted to play drums for the band, I think it was a pretty selfless thing. He really loved the band, and he really wanted the band to do something, and he knew that because him and Brent were already in the fucking Wrath together, that if he played drums for Night Demon, we wouldn't have to go look for a drummer, and there would be no scheduling conflicts because it was they were both already doing the same thing in another band. So it wasn't going to be like, you know, Brent had to go do something with Night Demon and kind of leave those guys, you know, on the hook. You know, you had two of their four members in another band, so that really lent itself to making that a successful situation. But, you know, again, it was a selfless act on his part. I say that because John was not a metalhead by any means. He enjoyed some metal, but he's a punk rocker through and through at heart. He is probably the definition of punk rock, the way that he lives his life and the amazing punk bands that he has been in and still is in to this day. Legendary bands like Missing 23rd, Stalag 13, Stop Breathing, etc. The list goes on and on. The guy's been in many bands and still does it to this day. But the drumming style that we were looking for, I mean, we were really trying to expand. The stuff on the EP was easy enough for him to relate to, and he really didn't see it as total metal because it did have that punk rock backbone. And, you know, we weren't doing crazy double bass stuff or what you would consider quote unquote metal drumming, right? But once the band started to become serious and we started to work on new material, which would become the album Curse of the Damned, we were running into a lot of roadblocks as far as his technical abilities to play certain things. And he knew it. I mean, he was the first to admit it. And so we tried. I'm not going to say we didn't try. You know, we would bring in we had a system that we built where we would try and play to a metronome, which, I mean, was just looking back on it, it's pretty stupid, but because we still don't do that. I mean, a lot of metal bands play to a click, but it just takes the looseness away that Night Demon is. Even though we're a very tight band, it's, you know, there's parts of songs that we speed up and slow down. That's the energy that needs to happen, and we can't do that to a computer. I mean, you could program that stuff, but that just takes the whole spirit out of everything that is what we're about. So, I mean, I even remember there was another friend of ours, Justin, who was actually the drummer of Gygax, a band that Armand would end up being in before he was in Night Demon and after New Liberty. But he was a great drummer, and he was John C's best friend. And, you know, I kind of inadvertently went behind John's back and talked to Justin and gave him some money and said, hey, can you give John some drum lessons? You know, it was one of those things that I should have just addressed directly with John, but I didn't, out of fear of a false fear, really, of hurting my friend's feelings. And that was just the wrong thing to do. But it wasn't for lack of trying. I really, really, really wanted John to be in the band.
I was practicing drums, which I never did before. I was practicing to a metronome. I was trying to get better at drums because Brent and Jarvis were a lot better than me at my instrument because I'm just more of a punk. I have fun. I like to rock out. I like to have a good time, and which is great for shows, but it was coming time to record the first full length.
Brent and I had a lot of conversations about it on the side, and we would flip-flop. Like one day, he would say, hey, I think this band needs to get a new drummer. And then I would say, no, I think we need to give John another chance. I talked to Justin. We're going to get him some drum lessons. I think we just need to stick with him and make it work. We're going to make it work. And then the following day or later on in that week or something, I would say, hey, look, you're right. It's not working out. I think we should start thinking about, how to handle this and get somebody else behind the kit. And then Brent would say, no, you were right. We should stick with John and find a way to make this work. And so I would say, okay, so we kept in the back of our minds, we knew what needed to happen. We didn't want to face that reality because he was such a great friend of ours. And what that did in the end was it made us handle this situation the worst way you could possibly ever handle it. And I think it comes down to, we're not unique in this situation. A lot of people have this in their lives where they just avoid an uncomfortable conversation with hope that it's going to get better. We took it a little bit further as far as not just sitting around and having hope. Like we actively tried to do things, or, we would send John songs. Hey, what about this drum beat? Could you do this? Could you do something like this? And at the end of the day, it just wasn't him. And so we were trying to mold him into something that he wasn't. And it was all for the progression of the band. But what we ended up doing was, in the fall of 2013, we had written all the songs for Curse of the Damned, with the exception of Screams in the Night and Mastermind, which came later. But we were ready to do this record, and we were going to re-record the Chalice, and it would give us a 10-song record. And we had scheduled studio time with Armand. And what we did was New Liberty was playing. They were in the studio one day, it was next door to the Night Demon Jam space. So me and Brent went over there, and all four guys were there from New Liberty: Armand, Willie Love, their singer Shane Mack, and Dusty. And we didn't talk to Dusty before this. We went in out of, it's funny here. We didn't respect our own band member, but we were fully tried to respect this other band. I don't know if it was to make up for our disrespect, the disrespect we were showing John behind his back, but we went in there and basically we asked the whole band, we asked Dusty and the whole band, like in front of his whole band, hey, can we borrow Dusty to play drums on our album? And everybody was totally okay with that. Dusty had done a lot of session work at the time for other people, so this wasn't a thing out of the norm. And Dusty was totally down. He loved what we were doing, and we had gotten closer as friends at the time. And so it was on.
They were looking to take the next step, right? Whether that's record label or shows or networking, all the above. I think they were working on all that. They wanted to take this side project and make it serious. And, John's a great drummer. And, I even say that about myself, where it's like, you play to your strengths. And John has that punk rock backbone, and, he's really good at what he does. And, he plays to his strengths. He knows what he's good at, same with me. I know what I'm good at, and I know what I suck at. I'm not a reggae player. I'm not a jazz player. It's like I love rock and metal. Those are my strengths, and I'll constantly, argue that. And, at that time, I think even like my punk rock and thrash style was definitely on the back burner. But nevertheless, Jarvis and Brent approached me. I'm sure as everybody knows, if you've listened to previous podcasts, I was pretty unhappy with New Liberty. The guys approached me and said, we're looking to get a record deal. We need somebody to kind of take the reins that can help us in the metal aspect of it, you know? And I think that, you know, working with John, they knew that it was going to be good, but they wanted it to be a little better. And all my experience with playing to a click and all that, I think was enticing for those guys. Jarvis had seen New Liberty play a ton of times, so he knew what I bring to the table as far as attack and energy and all that. So, you know, they approached me and said, hey, you know, we're just kicking the idea around. You know, we want to have somebody come in and play drums on this album other than John. We feel like we need a little bit of something extra that John doesn't necessarily bring to the table. Fair enough.
And we kind of told everybody, hey, look, we haven't talked to John about this yet. So just keep this under wraps. We're going to figure out how to deal with this.
Unbeknownst to me, the band just had doubts on my playing, which would have been totally cool if they would have brought it up to me and talked, because we were friends. I was friends with Jarvis for 15, 20 years. Me and Brent were in a band. We started becoming really close friends on the Wrath tours, and, you know, we were like friends and homies. And so they started jamming with Dusty without me knowing.
We ended up rehearsing, and it was awesome. And I know the guys were stoked as soon as we started playing, because I got demos with, you know, John's playing. And my thing is I'm such a studier, you know, everything, I just soak it all in. And Jarvis was like, make sure that you don't play these parts verbatim. We want you to kind of put your stamp on these. It felt good. I knew that it was a cool thing, and I knew that I was going to get the gig to play on the record. I didn't know it was going to, you know, continue to what it became, but I was confident in myself, and I was confident in what those songs needed, that I was going to be able to come in and execute the game plan.
So Brent and Jarvis have 2 jams with Dusty on drums just to see how he would play the songs. This is while John C. is still very much the drummer of Night Demon.
Basically, our idea was we were going to tell John that, hey, look, we want Dusty to play on this record, and in the meantime, this will give you enough time to properly learn what he's going to do on this record, and we want you to stay in the band, and we're going to move forward. However, we never had that conversation with him, because before we were able to, and I'm not putting all the blame here on somebody else, because we were definitely putting this off, and it did not help. The longer we put it off, the worse we made it. But their singer, Shane Mack, had worked at Salzer's Records with John. John was a manager there. And, you know, I'm not going to speak for him, but he basically let the cat out of the bag. And we were totally fucking pissed about that.
The singer of New Liberty, Shane Mack, he worked with John C. at Salzer's. And John was like a higher up boss there, and Shane worked under him. So Shane knew that I was rehearsing with Night Demon and proceeds to tell John about it. And apparently Brent and Jarvis didn't let John know that I was in there rehearsing. They didn't want to, and I understand, they didn't want to tell him until, you know, it was a done deal where, you know, I'm going to play on the record, and sorry, John.
Dusty was in a band called New Liberty, which I'm sure you've heard about on the pod, because he's from that band. Armand was in that band. And I worked with the singer from New Liberty at the record store. And so one day at work, Shane, singer of New Liberty, comes in. He's like, hey, man, I heard Dusty's going to record the new Night Demon record. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, Dusty's been practicing with them. He said he's going to record the record. And I'm like, well, that's news to me. I did not know that.
I don't know if it was out of jealousy or rage or what, or I don't even know how the conversation really went down. So again, I'm not going to speculate, but it was definitely not his place to do that, because we had asked him not to.
But it was just so fitting that, like, I was over the New Liberty thing, and Shane and I weren't getting along at the time. And of course, you know, Shane just goes out and, you know, spats off that I'm rehearsing with Night Demon, and it was a freaking shit show.
So John got wind of it and basically came to the practice space and sat down with me and Brent and was like, what the fuck?
What's going on? You guys jamming with someone without telling me? And they're like, yeah, we didn't know how to tell you, so we just did it and didn't tell you. And I'm like, what the fuck, dudes? I like helped get this band going, bring it from a band that was going to be lost to time on a 7-inch to a full working band, and in a genre that Jarvis had been trying to do since he was 13, you know? And I was very hurt. I took it very personally at first. And while I understand if I wasn't playing exactly what they were hearing in their heads, that's a total valid point, which would have been very awesome of them to tell me. And then it would have been, okay, I get it. It would have hurt, but it would have hurt a lot less than finding out from someone I work with that they're going behind my back. It's almost like they're cheating on me, like in a relationship. It was really weird, and I was very hurt.
And rightfully so. And we just told him, look, man, like everything I just said, basically. And like we didn't want to hurt his feelings as a friend, and we still wanted him in the band. We definitely did. And he just wasn't having it. His pride was hurt, and he was betrayed. And, you know, I mean, I can't blame him for that whatsoever. And I learned a big, big lesson that day. On how to just confront things when they're there. And I've learned that once you can do that, those issues that you have and that stress and anxiety that you have go away pretty easily. And it's over and done with. It was just a very tough thing for us. And so this was September 18th, 2013, when this conversation happened. John had said, I don't, you know, regardless of what you guys are saying, I don't want to be in the band anymore. I don't want that to happen. I don't want him to play on the record and then me just join the band again and not be able to do what he's doing, or just, you know, and again, the way we went about it, I think it just really, really fucked with him. And so, you know, John graciously enough said, you know, I'll play these October shows with you because they mean so much to you. And basically, we got booked to play with Raven and Diamond Head, our heroes. And we got 3 shows with them on the West Coast. And that was like the biggest thing for us that was already exceeding every expectation we ever had for this band. And those shows were coming up in a few weeks. And he said, look, I'll play those shows because I know how much that those shows mean to you guys, but then I'm out. And so I said, well, what about tomorrow night? And he said, no, I'm not playing it.
We had a show booked that week, and I said, hey, guys, I quit. Like, that's fucked up. Whatever, I'm done. No more Night Demon for me.
And so we just kind of said, okay, well, you know, in that case, we're not going to ask you to do the October shows, and we'll figure it out. I mean, I don't know what we were thinking at the time, because it was just, you know, I mean, we hadn't talked to the New Liberty guys or Dusty about him playing any gigs with us live. We thought that was the next logical thing. We had no drummer, but somehow we had to find a way to do it. But so here we are with this gig the following night in Pasadena at this place called the Old Town Pub that Andrew Bonzal from Metal Assault had booked.
So the night after John C. quits, Night Demon has a show but no drummer. And this show would end up being a strange one for Night Demon, and it features a one-off Night Demon lineup that would never be repeated. Here's Andrew Bonzal.
So this was when they played a place called the Old Town Pub in Pasadena. It was my first time at that club, and I went there specifically to see Night Demon, obviously. And little did I know as to what I would come across when I would arrive. So what happened was, Night Demon did not have a drummer for that show, but Armand ended up filling in on drums, and they played the set as planned.
So there was this one time before I played guitar in Night Demon that I played drums in Night Demon. There was one show. It was at a place called the Old Town Pub in Pasadena, California, which is a little bit outside of LA. And yeah, it was one of those things where, John, I guess, had just quit the day before, and the guys had that show scheduled, and I think they asked him to do it, but he didn't want to do it for, obvious reasons. I don't know how it all went down. Well, I kind of know how it went down when he found out they were working with Dustin and stuff like that and working on that. But anyway, so as I am, and as I've been known to do, I just stepped up to the plate and said, well, shit, I'll play, man. I know all the songs. At that point, I hadn't really played drums in a band for a while, but, I was there. The chops were there. I had my gear. I recorded all those songs the only songs they had anyway at that time. So, I just had to go off of memory. Obviously, I don't even think we had a chance to rehearse. Maybe we did a quick run through that day before the show, but I really don't have much recollection of that show. I do remember being there. It's a really small place, and I remember the red lights and all the fog and just playing that shit as hard as I could, because that's how I do it. So there you go. I'm the only member of Night Demon that's played more instruments than any other member of Night Demon at different times. I've been the producer, the drummer, and now the guitar player. What's next?
It ended up being a great set, and I don't know how, but they pulled it off. It's just kind of a tribute to Armand's just pure musicianship, the fact that he was able to do that I'm assuming it was short notice when they told him to do it, or it might have just been that same day or something like that, if I remember correctly. So that was sort of an initial taste of what the band was all about to me. The fact that they wanted to do the show at any cost and not cancel, even though like one out of their three members was literally like not there for the show, which would pretty much make that appearance fall apart for most, if not all other bands of that style or of the three-piece variety. It probably remains the only show where Armand played drums for Night Demon, and it's no surprise that that they kept in touch with him and that he ended up eventually joining the band as a guitarist. But that's a very unique memory that not a lot of Night Demon fans could probably boast of having. So luckily, I was there to experience it.
They ended up playing the show that was booked. He didn't know all the songs. He would just jammed a couple times with them. But they ended up playing the show that was booked that I bailed on with Armand playing drums. Since he recorded all the stuff, he knows all the songs. He's an amazing musician, so he pulled it off. And I saw Dusty later on, like next week at a show somewhere in Ventura, and I was like, hey, man, you should join Night Demon and go for it, because those songs are good. I know you are like, you've been playing drums since you were a little kid. This is what you've always wanted to do. Not that I didn't want to do it, but I wanted to let him know, like, it's cool, do it, go for it.
Obviously, years have passed, and everybody is cool now.
It was hard for a little while, I'll admit I was very bummed and hurt, but, that shit happens. And in the long run, they're better off without me. I was better off not being in the band because, our lives went different ways, and, we can't change the past. But I don't hold any grudges over them anymore. Life's too short, and I wish them the world of success. So, that is kind of about my time in Night Demon. And there's lots of good times, lots of crazy times, because, that was one of the things, too, when we started. It was like, let's do more than just be a band on stage. Let's not wear band shirts. Let's get a smoke machine. Let's get lights. Let's put a little more effort into what we were doing. And I was so stoked to be doing this. And we would, we'd bring that shit to a garage, packed garage, and smoke everybody out and just rock the fuck out. And that's, there's something about being in a room, even with 10 people, with 100 people, thousands of people. If you're all feeling it and you're in that moment, it's just, there's no other feeling like that. And that's the feeling that you chase being in the band, is getting that feeling, and just super fun. I think those first 4 songs that they wrote, Night Demon, The Chalice, Ancient Evil, and Ritual, are just classic songs. Anybody that likes music can listen to those songs and appreciate them and go, fuck, those are some good songs. And they still hold up, and I'm sure they play them in their set still. I haven't seen Night Demon play in a while now, and it would be cool to see. It was pretty fun. I sing in a band called Stalag 13 now, which I think I mentioned before, and we were on tour in Europe, and Night Demon was on tour in Europe, and we somehow met in Munich at a squat in Munich, and we both played together, and it was just so fun. And they had their light show going, and like they were so tight, and it was just rad to see the progression of the band. I knew there was something special in the songs, and I knew that band couldn't have got lost to time. Like, they had to go for it. And especially Jarvis, who's been a metal fan since he was a kid, finally getting to do a metal band again that is like super awesome. Like, yeah, it was fun and a good time, and it was cool. I wouldn't have joined Stalag 13 if I was still a Night Demon, and being in Stalag 13 has been super fun and super rad, and almost like a dream come true for me, for being a punk kid from South Oxnard, joining one of the big 4 hardcore bands. And so, life has a funny way of taking you on a journey, and we're still on that journey. And yeah.
So now that John is out of the band, Armand has played 1 gig for us on drums. We're about to head into the studio the following week to record the Curse of the Damned album with Dusty on drums. We've got these big shows coming up with Diamond Head and Raven, 3 shows on the West Coast, bands that, we didn't even think we would see live, and we're playing with them. So we asked Dusty, look, if you're going to do all this, if you're going to do this recording with us, please start doing some gigs with us. And he was all in. We didn't officially have him in the band at the time. And I remember even when we had to put these promo photos out still, we had like one of these old photos that Mark Whitaker took of the band. And I think we had actually cropped John out. So it was just me and Brent. And we were kind of like a 2-man band, I think, at the time. And we just weren't sure after what we went through with Pat, what we went through with John, and there was still a lot of sore feelings. And Dusty still being in New Liberty, we just kind of wanted to take our time with this, and we wanted to make sure that if somebody was going to officially ever be in the band again on the Skins, that it was definitely meant to be, and it was long lasting, and it was something that was going to be permanent. And we needed some more time with Dusty, and even still, we were looking at other drummers because we didn't want to take him away from New Liberty. We wanted to try and avoid more heartbreak and more of Night Demons going on this trail of destruction throughout our local scene, with what happened with John. And then now it's like, well, we're going to just poach somebody from another friend's band. And Dusty was a very integral part of New Liberty. A lot of people think, a drummer's just a drummer and a drummer can be replaced. But, as we would come to find out, the band had no life after he left that band to join us. But that hadn't really happened yet officially. But we did have him on board for the record and for doing shows for the foreseeable future.
So with John Crerar out and no permanent replacement on drums figured out yet, the Night Demon train keeps barreling forward. So a few days later, after the show at the Old Town Pub in Pasadena, California, Jarvis and Brent Woodward appear on the Metal Assault radio show on Razor KXRZ. And the topic of the drummer comes up right away, but there is no sign at all of any hesitation or any setback, as they prepare to head into the studio to record their first full-length album.
My studio guest today, the great band Night Demon from Ventura, California. I actually have the guys here now who've made it through the horrible LA traffic. How are you guys doing?
Great, we're here.
Doing good.
It's good to have you here, man. Obviously, last Thursday I saw you guys play at the Old Town Pub in Pasadena, which is a lovely little venue. And I don't know, for some reason they don't have any shows, but I'm glad you guys played there. So what did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty cool. This is Jarvis here. Any kind of metal show, like if it's a specific metal show, is usually cool. Like no matter where it is. And now it's kind of gotten to the bar scene. You know, I mean, all ages shows are great. But you know, a lot of the 21 and over stuff, for what it was fine. They actually had a decent PA and mic'd everything, and you know, there were technical problems, but it wouldn't be rock and roll without that, I guess.
Yeah, I think the room sounded good for what it was. I mean, it was pretty tiny, and the stage was really tiny too. So, I mean, was that weird at all? I mean, are you used to playing bigger stages? You know?
We're used to playing all kinds of stages, but yeah, definitely smaller stages are not ideal, but it definitely helps when you only have 3 guys in the band, you know. So in our situation, it's
we don't need a whole lot of space. Yeah, we don't need a lot of space.
But it's always good to move around, you know. We played at the observatory, and that was cool because we were able to kind of, we like to do like switch spots sometimes, and it's cool to have a mic on either side so we get to be in front of both areas of the audience, you know. But yeah, we make it work wherever we go.
Right, and well, the interesting thing about that show was your old drummer had quit the night before that show, and you had a makeshift guy who did pretty well, I thought. I mean, so what did you think of that? I mean, were you satisfied with how it went down?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Armand John Lizzie is his name, and he's like our engineer. He does all of our records and stuff. So I've known him for most of my life, and he knew what was up. We knew what we had to do, and he came through for us. So we weren't going to cancel the show.
He recorded our EP anyway, so he knew those songs backwards and forwards himself. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
But you said that he's actually a guitar player, right?
He's a fantastic guitar player. He played drums on a couple tours for a couple bands years ago, and rarely plays drums. But he got in there pretty good, I thought. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, we did not want to cancel the show. People were expecting us to play, and we just don't do that the night before, especially with all the hype around the band right now. We really want to deliver the best we can, and it made me a little nervous to have somebody come in, but and you know, our set was only 6 songs, but I thought it was good. We played the songs that people knew, and I thought we pulled it off. So.
Right. So you mentioned that you're a 3-piece. I mean, that always it always pulls me. You know, 3-piece bands always attract me. I'm a sucker for 3-piece bands. But the interesting thing about your band is, I mean, for a 3-piece, there's a lot of like guitar stuff going on, you know. So, like on the albums, like how do you are you like self-harmonizing? I mean, is Brent like playing 2 layers of guitars, or is it just like one guitar straight through?
Okay, interesting. The EP is basically a stripped down demo, so they're not playing 2 guitars. There are some like rhythm tracks underneath the solos, but all the harmonizing is done by the guitar and the bass. The guitar sound is much like a big guitar. I do use flat wound strings, so it's a cross between, it's like Steve Harris meets Lemmy. It's kind of a dirtier Steve Harris, and I use a pick. On this new record, we go in the studio tomorrow to do it, to start. I do think there will be some guitar harmonies that will be doubled, but everything live, it will be implied. You know, Brent will most likely play, you know, the root riff and then go to the harmonizing riff, so you would understand it. We're not going to go crazy with it. But there's some stuff on the record that definitely needs 2 guitars. So,
yeah. It'll be tastefully done. That's all we can really say.
Yeah, it's important to kind of keep the same feel between the album and the stage, right? I mean, you cannot just go crazy on the album, and then it'll be hard to replicate that.
I agree. I think there is going to be some higher production value though, and some keyboards on a couple songs, you know. But we actually did a show in our hometown last week and kind of guinea pig a couple of these songs. We had our friend keyboard player come out and play a couple songs and sing backups and stuff. So you know, we've seen a lot of bands have outrageous records like that and that have one guitar player and even pull it off live. And it is a different thing, and I like it to be different. But we're not gonna go overboard. We're just gonna serve the songs, if you will. You know.
So you mentioned the new album, so let's talk about that a little bit. You're going into the studio tomorrow, so like, how long are you expecting to take for this album, and when can we expect it to be released and stuff?
We'll be in the studio pretty much all day tomorrow until Sunday. That's our plan so far, and we're hoping to get it all finished by the end of the day on Sunday. So
The whole album.
The whole album. Yeah, it's 12 songs. We're doing 2 cover songs and 9 brand new songs. So not all of those are going to make it on the album, but it's probably going to be a 10-song album. So we're excited to go in there and get it all done.
Right. And I think you were talking to me last time about the label that you're on. I think it's Shadow Kingdom Records who's releasing this album, or how are you putting it out?
Yeah, they are not. We don't have a plan to release it with them at the moment. We have licensed the EP since it was self-produced to many different labels, and there's going to be a European pressing on a 12-inch soon with a cover song on it. Limited to 300, hand numbered and stuff. But no, we don't. We are not under contract right now. We have about 20 offers on the table right now, and we're gonna do this record and give everybody a chance to hear it, and really go with somebody who's gonna believe in us. I mean, really, what we want to do is we want to be on tour and we want to be on the road. A lot of the bigger labels are, from what I hear, not offering the best deals, which I understand because people aren't buying records. If you sell 5,000 records now, you're a big band, So Queensryche sold 60,000 of their first EP on their own, So times have changed, so they want something on the back end, and I understand that. It is a business, We want to give ourselves the best opportunity to take it to the next level, and we really just want to be on tour constantly, nonstop. So, whoever can kind of help us go in the direction we want to go in is what we're going to do. But we're definitely open to talking to everybody, and we want people to hear the record and kind of decide from there what we can do together to make the band successful. So, if we had to put it out with Shadow Kingdom right now, I think it's great. The distribution is great for what it's worth. And Tim, the guy who runs the label, is a great metal fan, and his heart's in the right place. But there's a lot to be discussed with a lot of people, and we have, like I said, we have interest from people that are very interested, and we would like to talk to them and at least give them an opportunity, to come to the table with something.
Right. So before the break, Jarvis, you were telling me about the fact that the EP has come out in a lot of formats, in Europe and all that. So I believe there's also been a cassette tape in the UK. So tell me about that. I love tapes.
Yeah, cassette tape coming out of the UK. There's a band out of the UK called Amulet. They're a great band, much like us. They're a little bit darker, a little more Witchfinder General kind of style, which they're great. We're going to be doing some dates with them next year, coming off the Keep It True Metal Fest. We're going to be touring the UK with them. The singer is starting a cassette-based label, and we're the first band to come out on it. So on Halloween, we're going to reissue or re-release the EP on cassette version. It's going to be limited to 100 hand-numbered copies. There's going to be an additional 10 in red, an additional 4 that are going to be each their own separate color. So those will be totally limited edition. But yeah, it's good. All formats are great, and anything we could do. This EP still has a lot of life in it. The street date was August 20th, and people are still, the Sony's distributing it on CD and people are carrying it, but we want to spread it out as much as we can, So, that's the cassette version. And again, that the 12-inch LP, hand-numbered and limited to 300, Germany on Underground Power, should be released sometime either late this year or early next year, and that'll have a bonus track on it. So.
Right, that's cool. So the first release date for the EP was August 20th. I thought it was older than that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, we released it digitally ourselves, back in April. Then a 7-inch came out in June, and the official distributed release date was August 20th through Red. So, as far as all the PR went along with it, that was kind of the deal with it. So there's a lot of buzz about the band right now, but there's a lot of people who don't know about us. I mean, we're not a big band by any means. I think the people that know about us do like us, but there's a long way to go. So any additional exposure we take, and any other country or territory in the world that we can release it, we have the ability to do that with us owning the masters of this recording. So we want to spread the love. You know, it's great because in all theory, it's a demo. It's a demo that is being officially released and distributed and paid for by other labels and other distributors, and that's just a dream come true, you know.
Right. Yeah, the EP is still kind of new. I mean, but it's just 4 songs, so that's why we need more songs soon, right?
Yeah. Well, there's going to be 9 more.
Yeah.
9 brand new songs, so look forward to that.
Exactly. So another thing that you did at that show in Pasadena and also in your earlier shows was you play a cover or two, I think, in your set, you know, just to kind of mix it up. And I think you did Lightning to the Nations at that Pasadena show from Diamond Head. So aside from that, like, what kind of covers have you played in shows, you know, before, like, you know, throughout your history?
Let's see here. Well, I mean, you know, we haven't been a band for very long, but I could probably rattle them all off, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. We've done Lightning to the Nations, Radar Love from Golden Earring. We've done
Queen.
Yeah, We Will Rock You, the Live Killers version, the instrumental version, not the version, you know, right? Green Hell by the Misfits.
Road Racing
by Riot. White Witch by Angel Witch. I think, what do you think? Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah. That's it. You know.
Right. That's a good selection. I mean, that Angel Witch is another band that I love, and they never come around to the U.S., which is sad, you know.
They're a fantastic band and a huge influence on us. We get a lot of comparisons to them, which I love, you know, that people compare us to them. I loved the last record that came out. 4 of those tracks are songs that, you know, were written in the early 80s but never really recorded. I have some live tapes of some of those songs, but I think it's great, and it's like true to form, them coming back. I kind of wish they would have went with different production. I know they went with the guy who did the Ghost record, which I don't think the Ghost records sound good. I mean, just in my opinion, I think they're very polished, and they're very compressed, and they're too clean, you know. Yeah.
You're talking about the new album that came out last year.
And the what is it, Infestium or whatever. I like the song, first one. I love the songs on that record, but the production still, and yeah, especially the new one. I thought the Angel Witch record, I thought it sounded great. I thought it sounded pretty big for what it was, but I just wanted a little bit more raw production on the drum and bass end of things. I thought the bass got buried in the mix, and the bass was very low endy, like kind of what we were talking about before. And a band like that deserves something better, I think, you know. Right. And but that's what happens, you know. I mean, it's like you come back out, and there's an interest now. I mean, that band couldn't get shot for 20 years, you know, and now it's like, okay, Metal Blade and Rise Above shows interest, and they go with the big producer who's on the scene right now, you know. And those guys were able to stay in the UK and do it, and that's kind of where their comfort zone is. Like we're on like Manila Road, they're on Shadow Kingdom 2, Pagan Altar, bands like that. I mean, those guys just play one-off festivals now. There's no need for them to tour because they get big money to just go play a fest, and then they sit on the couch. I think some of these, I won't speak for these bands because I don't know them personally, but I do know some of these old school bands they're just playing because they need the money, you know, and not because of the fire of getting out on the road and doing that. And that's not what we want to end up being.
Well, like a band like Manila Road, they never gave up, you know. They've been releasing album after album for whatever 30 years plus, you know. So
yeah, Manila Road is still putting out good albums. I mean, there's examples of bands like that who stuck it out, but they're not really, you know, putting out anything good. I think Anvil is an example, which is like, dude, how much can you milk that one riff, right? What is that song, Metal on Metal?
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, that movie just did everything in the world for them. Yeah. I mean, it really did. It was just a real modern day, real life Spinal Tap, and like you can't buy that kind of media exposure or underground credibility. But I mean, I went to see them at the Whiskey, you know, last year, and it was like a $15 ticket, you know. So I mean, they're not really rising to the heights of fame, but they're able to sustain their career, and people will book the band, you know. So it's worked out for them. And you know what? Like, it's just the perseverance of them doing it forever and never giving up. And that's the key, is just never giving up, because you will find it, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they didn't quite rise to fame. I mean, because that movie is now, what, 4 or 5 years old? But still, I mean, at least they're carrying on, as you said. So there's enough for them there.
I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I'm willing to bet that the two main guys in that band are actually making a living off of that band now. I don't see them working day jobs. I mean, I don't, and they're Canadians, so I have no doubt in my mind that the Canadian government is actually probably sponsoring them now and giving them money. They're almost ambassadors for the country, I mean, really, they do it with lower level bands, believe it or not. Canadian government will give you grants to go and tour the world. And they're at the forefront of it. So I hope they are taking advantage of that. If not, we're moving to Canada and we're doing it.
Right, that's what I was about to say, man. Yeah, you should do that. Get Canadian citizenship, I think your music will go down well over there as well. You can tour with Exciter or something like that.
Or Nickelback.
Right, or Bieber, or whatever.
And you only have to sell 50,000 records to go gold in Canada.
Oh, really? Well, that's new information for me.
Actually, you know what? I actually think that the number dropped. It might be 20,000 now. Seriously, they have adjusted it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. But one thing about playing covers live that I wanted to ask you is something I always wondered. I mean, as a band that's starting out in the local scene, I mean, do you think it's actually crucial to play covers to kind of get people in the crowd to notice you, or is it just something that you do even just when you want to,
Well, I think we were just hungry to play shows right away. We had 4 songs. So we get through in a few covers just to fill out our set, and we just played songs that we loved. So
I agree with that, but I will say this: 1/10 of our audience knows that the songs are covers because we played some obscure shit. You know what I'm saying? 1/10 of the song. Actually, we played here at the Joint once, and rest in peace, the singer of Behold the Monolith. It was the first time he saw us here. We played here with them, and he came up to us after the show and said, he asked Brent, were all your songs covers? And you know what? That was a compliment to us, because we're like, wow, our songs are holding up with these great songs,
right.
So yeah, that's it with that.
Yeah, I mean, that shows that you picked out the covers well, the covers that would go well with your songs and almost would sound like your songs, your own songs.
Right. Yeah. Well, we are trying to, I think now moving forward, since we're writing so much original stuff, I think we are trying to branch out with the songs that we do cover and be more selective, and we're trying to cover less metal songs, honestly, and we're trying to cover less songs that we play exactly like the band. It's like, go listen to the original band, not us. We want to do songs that are not metal, that we can play metal. Right. Because that's what the beauty of a band covering a song is, when they make it their own. It's hard to do that when you're covering a song from a band that is directly influencing your sound.
Right. Well, talking of that, I mean, obviously we need to talk about the tour that you're doing next month. I mean, I've been telling everybody about it, but let's talk about it on this show for people who are listening. I mean, you're opening for Diamond Head next month. I think you're doing like a run of three shows, or I think Vegas, LA, and Orange County. So just talk about how that's going to be, and what are you expecting from that?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Like, I've never imagined that I'd ever be in a band that was going to even share the stage with Diamond Head or Raven. So it's like, right now, I don't think reality has really even hit me yet. So it's like, once it happens, I don't know. I don't even know how I'm going to react, or how things are going to be,
Yeah, I really think that I never even thought I would actually see these bands play live, let alone play with them. So, and in California, But there's a little bit of, I'm a little hesitant, just a little bit. I mean, we know bands that have toured with them recently and like have nothing but good things to say. But it's kind of, when you meet your heroes, it's kind of funny, like you just don't know. And when people are on tour, you don't know what kind of day they're having, But we have 3 shots. We got 3 chances at it. So we're gonna go into night 1 and just let the music of Night Demon speak for itself. And if those guys might not even watch us, I mean, why there's probably crappy opening bands on every show for them. I mean, who knows? So I have no expectations. I want to play in front of the Diamond Head fans and carry the torch. We want to carry on this tradition that the groundwork that they've laid. And the best way to be exposed to their fans is to be playing to them directly, and that's what I'm looking forward to.
Right. And what's the exact schedule again? It's October 15th at the Vamped in Vegas.
It's October 16th at Malone's in Santa Ana.
Right.
October 17th at the Vex Arts in LA. Vulture is also on that show. We got asked to play with Vulture. They're coming to our hometown on the 16th. How funny. They should be on the Diamond Head show, but they're not. So we're obviously going to miss that. And then the 20th in Vegas at Counts Vamp. So 16, 17, and 20.
That's awesome. So by that time, you'll be obviously done with this album and everything. So maybe you'll play some new songs in those shows, or
We'll be playing a lot of new songs at those shows. Yeah, absolutely.
that sounds good, man. But have you ever seen them before, Diamond Head, like recently or ever?
Never. Last time they came through, I think they came to Orange County, and I was out of town. I can't remember if they did a LA show or not. I don't think they did. But I don't know what's going on with the vocal situation. I mean, it's really all about Brian Tatler. I mean, all the Raven guys are there, so that's cool, But I mean, really, the band that influenced Metallica and the other band that took Metallica on their first tour, it's like, hey, I just hope that somebody cool shows up. It'd be cool to see King Diamond in the crowd or something.
Right. Yeah, I actually saw them on that tour that you mentioned. I think it was in 2011, and they played the Observatory. Oh, that time the Galaxy.
Sean Harris wasn't singing, right?
No, I don't even remember who it was because they keep changing. Aside from Brian Tatler, it's all a rotating lineup. I think this time I don't know who's singing. I think it'll be some other guy, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, well, for whatever it is, I mean, the songs will be there, and I know it'll be cool. I actually emailed Jason, the singer of Cauldron, and said, hey, when you guys did that last run of Diamond Head shows, did they play Lightning to the Nations? And he said, yeah, they did. 'Cause I was hoping that they didn't, because I've seen some recent set lists where they haven't, because we want to play that and have Brian play that with us. I mean, we would love to do that. But like I said, we'll ease into it. We're going to go in the first night and do what we do. We've played Orange County twice now, and both times have been a stellar reaction. So we're hoping to get our following there again. I mean, it's small, but it's building, and kids show up and they know the words, and even if it's 5 to 10 people, I mean, things are really back to their origins now with heavy metal, and the 10 people are worth $1 million. I mean, it's really it's its own thing. It's very important to them, so it's important to us.
Right. Yeah, we'll get to hear the actual versions of Am I Evil and It's Electric and all that, not the Metallica covers, right?
Right, absolutely. I mean, I don't know. It's like with Metallica, it's just it comes with the territory. You're going to get as much criticism as you are praise, and sometimes even more criticism, but that's just how it goes. If it wasn't for them, they were my introduction to everything in the world. So I have to give it up to them. But one thing I will say about Night Demon is, like, we're around the age of 30 years old now. So being in this band and the band taking off at this age for us is actually good for us, because we know who we are now. We're comfortable with ourselves as musicians, and we feel a responsibility to our fans. So we're going to continue to deliver music that does justice to Night Demon. You're not going to see a load or a reload come out of this band. If there's any kind of experimental projects we want to do, it'll be under a different name. So we know we're comfortable with ourselves, and that's cool. We know where we're going with it.
So, but right now your focus is Night Demon, nothing else, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what else is there? It's like we don't have jobs. This is all we do, and like we're ready. Like we're ready to just be vagabonds on the road. So that's it.
No, I really respect that. I mean, I was mentioning that to you last time, that the fact that you don't have jobs and you're dedicating yourself. I mean, a lot of the weekend warrior stuff is something I'm not really able to appreciate, because then you're not really doing it full time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's a hobby, and that's okay. People can be in bands and have it as a hobby, but they need to recognize that, and they need to not complain when things aren't going their way, because it's, we talked about it on the way down here too. I mean, there's tons of obstacles. They're going to keep coming. They're never going to stop, and it's going to get even harder, but making it through that is how you make it as a band. That's just how it goes, just like any career, anything you want to do in your life. You just got to get through that kind of stuff. So, that's just, it is what it is. We do have a job, and it is this, and we love our job. So a lot of people say, actually, I met, when I was a kid, I bought, there was a newspaper called The Recycler that used to be around here that before internet, that sold, you could find musicians or buy musical gear. And I bought this pedal board. I went out to the Valley and bought this pedal board from, and it was Jake E. Lee from Ozzy. He opened up the storage unit, and all this vintage guitars and pedals just falling out of this place. And my mom, gave him the money. I bought this thing that he used his pedal board on the Ultimate Sin Tour. And I thought, this is great. And my mom said, do you have any, he's an aspiring heavy metal musician. Do you have any advice for him? And he said, go to college. and I'll never forget that, But really, this is a lot of people wouldn't recommend getting into the music industry, especially these days. But the only reason why we do it, I think, is because we really don't have any other options. Because if we do anything else, we're dead inside. This is the only option for us. This is the only outlet for us to be truly happy, and go for it and chase it and continue to chase it until the day we die. And we want to live, and we really want to live, and we want to be freaking out every night going, what are we doing? And we want to live outside ourselves and live up to our complete human potential, if you will.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I think on that note, I think that's all I have for the interview, man. Thanks, guys, for stopping by, and I hope it's not too sweaty over here for you guys. I know it's kind of hot here.
Yeah. And thank you for supporting us along the way early on. I mean, really, it means a lot to us. Especially somebody, like you, who's going to shows every night and stuff, like letting people know about us, because we're ready to kill.
Yeah, well, don't forget me when you blow up and play the Palladium or something.
Yeah, right. No worries, man.
Cool, awesome.
So lots of talk about the about to be recorded album. A lot of excitement for the upcoming Raven and Diamond Head shows. We're going to get into that in future episodes, but that's where Night Demon were at the end of September of 2013, about to head into the studio to record their first full-length album. Down a drummer, but lots of momentum, lots of new material, and that's where we're going to pick it up next week. Until then, this is Nesbitt signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at metalforgeradio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.